Hi, I'm Todd Henderson. Today we're going to install the Gator FX3 on this 2015 F150 5.5 foot bed. Let's go ahead and get started. So we're going to take our weather seal out of the box. We're going to install it on the portion of the bulkhead that's closest to the tailgate. We're going to push this all the way up against the bed cap. All right, so we're starting on the passenger side. We've got the passenger side rail here. You're going to see a big aluminum tab sticking out the front portion of it. It has a rubber flap on the inside that's going to hang on top of the bed cap. So what we're going to do is put it up against the bed cap, drop it down on the bed cap to make sure that rubber seal seats properly against the bed cap. We're going to pull it forward as far as possible as we'll go. We're going to take our first clamp, we're going to spread it apart. We're going to set it up into the rail. Now it's very important that the grooves on the clamp line up to the grooves on the rail. We're going to set that in there first finger tight. Make sure everything is pulled all the way forward. We're going to take a 9/16 wrench. We're going to pull that down until it starts to bite. Once it starts to bite a hold of that rail, we're going to then put some down pressure on that rail to seat the top of that rail down to the bed cap. Then we can continue tightening down the clamp. All right, now we're going to take our second clamp. We're going to slide that up in there. We're going to tighten it up finger tight. Again, use our 9/16 wrench. Seat the rail at the top and finish tightening it down. For our last clamp, we're going to do the exact same thing, but we're going to go as far back at the end of the rail as we can. Tighten it down by hand. Make sure the grooves and the clamp match up to the grooves inside the rail. Now with the rail in place, we can go ahead and attach our prop rod. This pops right into the ball stud and it rests inside the clip. We're going to take our drain tube. It's going to fit right over top of the spout coming out of our drain cup on the rail. And we're going to take the other end of it. I've already made a hole down at the bottom exiting the bed of the truck. It's going to fit that drain tube right through that hole. There you go. Repeat the same process on the opposite side. We can put the cover on the rails now. The short panel goes towards the front. Just going to lift up the cover, drop it down. We're then going to scoot the whole cover back until that front panel drops into place. Now what we're going to want to do is this front edge of the frame needs to drop down and get flush to the bulkhead. So we're going to get that in place. We're going to nudge it forward until it's contacting the bulkhead. Here's your elevator bolt assembly. You're going to get one of these for each side. What you're going to want to do is remove the star knob. We're going to set that to the side. We've got a rubber washer, flat washer, and lock washer. They're going to come off. We're also going to set that to the side. What's left, we've got one other rubber washer. We're going to fit that all the way up against the head of the elevator bolt. We'll push that elevator bolt down through, and it'll go through that aluminum tab we saw on the rail. So here's our elevator bolt coming down through the aluminum tab on the rail. We're going to take that rubber washer, flat washer, and lock washer. We're going to slide it up onto that elevator bolt and take our star knob. We're going to get it started and spin it up there, but we're not going to tighten it down just yet. We want to adjust the cover before we tighten it down. Do that on both sides. We're going to go ahead and rotate the cover back each time that it drops in place. We want to kind of give it a nice little wiggle to make sure it's nice and centered inside those rails. Do the next panel back. There again, center it in the rails. And last panel, set that in place. Then we want to get underneath. All right, we're going to check the cover, make sure it's centered. Same distance between the end of the cover and the edge of the rail here and on the other side as well. Now we're going to very carefully rotate each panel of the cover forward again, making sure not to allow the cover to shift as it's going. With that in place, we can now reach underneath and tighten down the star knobs. We just want to get them nice and snug. We don't need to over tighten them. All right, so now I've gone ahead on this last panel, I've wiped down this whole surface with rubbing alcohol. This is the part that would actually hit the cab if you rotated it forward. So we're gonna protect that with some rubber bumpers. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna release the panel, rotate it up and see where it would hit the cab. I'm putting it up at the very top edge of that panel frame. And that way I'm protecting the cab nicely. All right, so now this cover did just ship across the country, and this rubber seal was kind of deformed a little bit in the packaging. It just has to go back to its regular memory. So all we're gonna do is we're gonna fix the rubber seal in these places where the seal is kind of lifting a little bit at the hinges. That's really no problem. If we want it to settle down, we can either let it sit in the sun for a little bit, or we can speed up the process by using a heat gun or a hairdryer. Well, we tested the operation. Everything works great, fits great, looks great. Just remember, anytime you close the tailgate, make sure that last panel is open. You can close the tailgate and then close the panel. That concludes the installation. If you have any questions, call the experts. We're here to help you out.